to a long forgotten memory. Dawn is breaking, waves are coming in, everybody standing in wonder beneath the rain and the thunder, rising in love.
Welcome to Nourish Your Soul, where collective consciousness meets to transform reality. Expect a miracle. It really is that simple. You can literally just allow it and expect it and live into that. Today, I am honored to bring to you a special mentor, beloved friend that is Alan Steinfeld, and he has been in the industry for disclosure and consciousness movement of awakening people for over 20 years now. And I am extremely blessed to have him on the show with us today because of a particular interview that he did with Darryl Anka, who channels a being called Bashar. It really struck a chord in me, having had my own ET experiences and knowing myself in my own self-discovery and journey. And so my hope is to bring a little bit of a bridge to people. If you're listening to this interview, it's by divine appointment. You know, from the Lord God of your own being, you have been brought to this. And my hope is that the energy and the message that comes through will speak to your heart in such a way to bring you closer to knowing yourself. So with that being said, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Yes, I think knowing yourself is the key, right? That's what we're in this, what do you call it, an industry? Is it an industry? That makes it sound so non-spiritual, but it's okay.
Well, the consciousness movement.
It's a movement. It is. It's a thing, isn't it? It's become a thing. I was in there early on. You know, I met Ramtha in 1981 in New York City, and that was the awakening for me of everything I was to do in the next 30 or more years. Was that from that moment that I knew I was more than my body because of that interchange I had with Ramtha. So I feel close to the channeling movement. I mean, I don't want to be a channel, but I'm happy some people do because it is a way of getting higher knowledge without too much interference from dogma, I think, in most cases.
Yeah, I think God has never stopped talking to us. You know, when you look at the Bible, well, yeah, that occurred, and those are individuals that had their own awakening experience. Well, God never stopped talking to us. He's still talking to us today. It's about tuning into our inner being and then becoming silent enough to listen. And Jay-Z Knight, the movie What the Bleep Do You Know, was what in my college days I used to talk about how we create reality through our thoughts. And I would use What the Bleep as an example in my presentations and Dr. Emoto's work. And so interviewing Jay-Z was a huge dream come true and just a blessing. She invited me to the Ramtha school, and me and my team, and got to learn remote viewing and honing our, intuitive skills and believing in ourselves and breath work. And your interview that you did with Darryl Anka, really the one on the hybridization with the grays, and all the questions that you asked were questions I would have asked, totally, like in sync, because I've had my own ET experiences and been wanting to have more clarity around that. And
I'd love to hear what your ET experiences were, if you want to. Were you abducted? What happened?
Well, first time that I was in my 20s. I was driving down a highway, and I was on my way to my office, Agape Healing office, where I would do esoteric healing and EPT, emotional polarity technique, forgiveness work that I do with clients and whatnot. And I was driving, and I saw this beautiful eagle above me, and I just...
Where were you? What town are you in?
Well, this happened when this happened. I was in Kokomo, Indiana at the time.
Oh.
I was driving down the highway, and I saw this beautiful eagle, and I just was in awe, and I connected with it, and I was just thinking to myself, I wonder what it would be like to see what the eagle sees. And it was just from this place of pure innocence, and when I did that, I literally I could see out of the eagle's eyes, like way the road, way above me. And I felt this connection with life, like it was just, I hadn't ever quite experienced it. I was very expanded. And then all of a sudden, you can feel it when someone's staring at you, like a presence, another presence. And I felt like I was being watched. And I looked in my rearview mirror, and I saw these two silver gray type alien beings in my car, in my backseat. And I immediately was just like, okay, Jesus, do I need to be concerned? And Jesus said back to me, what I heard was, no, you have an agreement. They're here just observing. You agreed for them to learn through you, and they're just here observing. And that was my ET encounter, my first one.
Well, I just say I never had an experience like you had. All my ET experiences were in dream states, and which are not really dreams. They're like altered states of reality. We just call them dreams because that's what we identify as those other states of consciousness, really. So, anyway, okay. But you were asking me, what was the question? Did you want to ask about Bashar? You want to know about that moment with Bashar?
Well, I know I wanted to ask like two things actually. You connected with him, and he said that you were a distant cousin of Bashar. And when you inquired to get more information, he said it's not time right now. And so, and that interview was back done in 2015. Well, now it's 2019. So I'm trusting that you've had some more communication around that, and I was just excited to know what your discovery was with that.
Well, I actually haven't had more communication around that, but this week I am going to be regressed back to the time in 1987 where I was abducted and find out what actually did happen when they took my genetics and who was present and what the purpose of that was. I mean, the purpose is to create a race of beings. I mean, I don't know if you were let's call it abducted by Greys, but I think I was. And they need our genetics because we have the capacity to feel that they bred out of them.
Right.
That's the good thing about human beings, that we're very emotional. And something Ramtha says that the emotions are in your DNA. So when people have heart transplants and lung transplants, all that, they get the emotion of the donor.
Right. That's
so, but within our DNA, when we genetically link to the alien consciousness, they are getting our capacity to feel and create and be artists and emote. And, all the things that they lost in order to create their race, which Bashar, who says he is the offspring of that race of humans and aliens that were created to bring out the best in both species.
Right. Who are you, if you don't mind me asking? Because I would love to be regressed myself. I mean, but I wanted to have Dolores Cannon do it, but she's already left us. She's on another plane.
I had problems with Dolores Cannon personally. I liked her, but she said some things I didn't agree with, like there's only a limited amount of people here on the planet, and who all these crowds of people are just extra villains that are not souls or something like that. I did not agree with that at all. So I think this guy, Dan Ryan in New York, is going to do this for me. And I've had moments of glimpses of those realities that I had tapped into in 1987. I was driving cross country, just to tell you, with this girlfriend, and we drove from Oregon on our way to the East Coast, and we stopped in western Nebraska, and we just kind of passed out and were frozen, and I felt weird, I have to say. You know, ETs, their presence is very disorientating. Their field, like being with Bashar was okay because he said he only was emanating 5% of his capacity, but the little gray beings, this has been my experience, are so weird and so strange in their capacity, their mental capacity, that it distorts our human field. Like, if I saw you or looked at you, I know you're a human and you have a mother and father, you eat and sleep, all that. When you're in the presence of these beings, that those cultural orientations are so different, that's really part of the trauma. You know, I mean, I'm not all ET contact is traumatic, but the ones with those races that interface with ours, it's very traumatic because there's no social context for these creatures. I mean, and that's why I think disclosure has been such a long process, because once they really show up here, everything changes. Everything will change on Earth. We have to be prepared. Like, maybe I wasn't prepared to hear what Bashar had to say. I think now I am, but we'll see. You know, we'll see. So it's an ongoing evolution of consciousness is what we're part of with our ET interactions. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this Dan guy that you're going to do the past life regression, are you going to record that or make it available to any of your viewers on
Yes,
any level?
I'm actually going to see if I can stream it. It will be next Thursday, this coming Thursday, January 17th. Go to my YouTube channel, New Realities, around 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and we'll see if we can actually stream it. Well, I mean, hopefully we will.
Well, absolutely. I would love to partake in doing that. And
all right. Well, yeah. Stay tuned to that. Yes.
All right. And then when I do come to New York, if you could connect me with him, I would love to even record it. I would even be willing to be on your show and let him do it with me, and you.
That would be fun too. That would be fun. When are you coming?
In February. I haven't set a date yet. I was hoping to just kind of correlate with your schedule so that it works out.
Well, I'm going to be gone in February from the 20th to like the end of the month. I'm going to L.A. Are you in L.A. now?
No, I'm actually in Summerville, South Carolina.
Oh, you're in South Carolina? You moved from Indiana to South Carolina?
Yeah. And I was in Seattle for a long time, too. That's where I was connected with Jay-Z.
Oh, were you a student at the Ramtha School?
I was a student for, it was just a short 2-week thing, and then I also did a lot of her books, read her books, and then her other videos that she'd put out and that kind of thing.
But you were already open to all this before you went to school, Ramtha School, right?
Oh, yes, totally, because I had my ET experience, and just, I don't know, people tell me I'm an old soul all the time, so...
I don't know what that means. That doesn't even make sense to me. I think we're all... I mean, I think, yes, some people have had more incarnational experience. Like Donald Trump is a young soul. He obviously needs that drama in order to get the experience. I mean, in that sense, he hasn't had that many. I think we all go through those phases of evolution, and I guess there is a meaning for old souls. It just means your soul has the wisdom of the incarnational experience where you can stay more detached from drama.
Right.
So,
I think Donald Trump is doing his job on the ego to stimulate the ego, so that the ego of mass consciousness collectively can like work out their bugs on what they prefer and what they don't prefer, and get into alignment with a more harmonious, positive, outcome in all areas, and seeing the best. Yeah.
I mean, he's just symptomatic of this, I think, huge shift we are now in, where all the dirt and the stuff that doesn't work can be seen.
Totally.
The government that doesn't work, the political platforms. It's never been more obvious that something is not working.
Totally. That's so true.
So the ETs are not going to save us from ourselves. That's the big thing.
True.
We have to work ourselves out of this mess. We have to work it out for ourselves, because, if we can't get just our local stuff together, we can't stop what I think it was Stanton Friedman. You know who Stanton Friedman is?
I'm not sure who that is.
He is probably the most long-time UFO researcher. He goes back to I saw him on my college campus in 1970. He talked about ETs and UFOs, like 1975. So he's been on the scene. He was the first to bring back Roswell as a phenomenon. But anyway, Stanton Friedman says that the most popular pastime of human beings is tribal warfare. And if we can't get over that, then we're not ready to really meet another level of consciousness.
Right, our galactic brothers and sisters, unless we know ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
know thyself. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
We have to grow up.
Right, and that's what this show is all about, is
home of
Know Thyself universe, and that we are the universe. Literally, when I got that we are literally creating because we're projecting outward, and that we're also one simultaneously with all life force. It's just, it's really about surrender. For me, it's surrender each moment, and what am I committed to communicating? That's the real question.
So this is called Know Thyself, huh?
Well, it's Nourish Your Soul and home of Know Thyself Universe.
Oh, because above the Oracle of Delphi, the Oracle of Delphi?
Well, yeah, in Greece. I want to go there.
In Greece, it was the oracle that, people like Socrates would visit,
Right.
And these were channels. These were channels of Apollo at the Oracle of Delphi. And above the gate of the Oracle of Delphi, it says, know thyself, and you will know the gods and the universe.
Right.
Know thyself, you will know the gods and the universe. So this is where we're at, 3,000 years later.
Right.
We're still at that square one, know thyself, because that's our mission of incarnation, is to know thyself. And we're not simple. We're complex, multifaceted, very emotional, dramatic beings, and I guess that's what the ETs like about us, because they don't have that. They realized they couldn't get to God by pure intellect, so they needed to come back through this time-space slip and access our genetics, because the one thing they can't create is life. This is the problem with the Greys anyway. They can create incredible spaceships that go through time and space, but they can't create the one magic thing that we have as human beings, our genetic expression. That's the source.
Yeah, Barbara Messiniak says in some of her material that they want us for our keys and codes, which to me that speaks to the language of our DNA. So that's
they want us for our what? P's and codes?
Keys and codes.
Why don't you
DNA.
just say DNA? I think that's a lot easier. I don't know what keys. I guess there's genetic codes and keys, but it's just our ability to feel. That's why they want us. Our ability to create, our ability to feel beauty, you know, and compassion and love and desire, and I guess they have all that on some level, but it's not felt, it's mental. And what we are as human beings are feeling beings. That's what Ramtha would say is encoded into your soul every minute is the emotional feeling of this moment. This
Right.
is what your soul is, a recorder of the ongoing emotional experience.
Absolutely.
And that's what every moment in every lifetime is recorded in your soul as feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It was your interview with him, though, that led me to Paul Lowe's work, because you asked Bashar, you said, is there a race of beings currently on the planet that is closest in vibration to you, and who would that be? And he said Paul Lowe.
What was your experience of talking to the group I set up with Paul Lowe at Harbin? I mean, how...
Our general experience of that group, in general, not going into any specific differences within individuals, but in general, their collective energy was the closest representation we have experienced of speaking to our own kind.
And so they're an example of what we could live as on this planet.
They are the beginning of such, yes.
Okay, is this happening anyplace else on our planet?
It is.
Do you have any names? Damanhur, is it happening there in northern...
We are not commenting.
Okay, so you don't want to tell us where because you don't...
Because it is part of an unfolding process in which all these places will ultimately cross-connect, and we will not interrupt the flow of that process. The timing is critical, and we will not change that timing.
And when he said that, I immediately went and I stopped Bashar and I went all on to Paul Lowe's work. And I saw your interview with Paul Lowe, and he was just so present in your interview with him and kept, you know, nudging you like it's here. It's just this breath. It's just, there's nothing else. It's like, just empty your mind, you know, just breathe. Just be here now. And so then from and I love that interview, by the way. It's classic. And
Thank you.
What's it all about? My theory is this. We're here to experience every single thing there is to experience. And the way I look at it is, just as a framework, is I've come from another planet, and so have you. But it might not be a planet, but we'll say a planet. We've come here to experience everything it's possible to experience in the physical. Now, people I've met, and I say that lightly, I've met who are not from this planet, they're walk-ins, say, when we're not in a body, we have absolutely no idea what it's like to be in a body. And for most people who have decided to come here and come in, it's a tremendous shock. Because when you're not in a body, you have no idea what is the physical. That's why channelers, people who channel, beautiful people like Bashar and channel beautiful. Bashar, even although he's with this incredible wisdom, he doesn't know what it's like to be us. This is unique. And the extraterrestrial I met, who was a walk-in, who'd taken over a human body with permission, was saying, we have no idea. I had no idea. When I entered this body, I didn't know how to move it. I didn't know about pain and discomfort. I didn't know about mental torment. I didn't know any of these things. And I had to work to clear my cellular memory, to be clear enough. So we are in, you know, we're in an incredible dimension. It is so beautiful here. It's wonderful here. And we have all these sensations. There is theory about ETs that they're just curious because they don't have what we have. You see, one theory is that advanced beings don't have individual personal experience. It's one. And we almost only have individual experience. very few people realize that we're one. And so one thing we could be here for is to realize that there is a separateness as well as a oneness, to complete something. And what I've looked at is having every possible experience there is to have here. Everyone. I haven't killed anybody. I've nearly been killed several times. Getting very close to the edge.
But you know, I wouldn't say it's about necessarily experience, it's about the feeling. We're here to have every human feeling. Those experiences generate a feeling that we're here to have. And when we have it, you don't have to kill someone to know what it might be.
That's right. But I feel that you need to have a certain amount of experience before you can start to empathize. You need a certain amount of experiences. And that's why I say, you know, over and over and over, is, and this beautiful man Eckhart Tolle says, there is only now. You see, as I'm talking to you, you might be thinking, oh yes, in the future, or I've got to do this. But now, there's only now. And I feel that now is giving us exactly what we need. We've created now. It's given us what we need. So what I say is, look for the depth in every single moment. What's it bringing to you? Now, it may not be comfortable. You may not want it on some level. But don't dismiss it. Don't escape it. Be with what's happening. And for me, that's the clue when Alan says how. For me, the how is experience what you're doing. Actually experience.
And I'm always going in the Bashar group, and I'm telling everybody, Bashar dropped some pearls here. It's in this interview with Alan Steinfeld, if you caught it or not, where he's asking Bashar who on the planet is closest in vibration to the Asani, and he says Paul Lowe. Watch the video with Paul Lowe and Alan Steinfeld so that they can make the connection. It's them, and it's about presence and embodying love's presence. Really, that's what it comes down to.
Thank you for that. No, Paul Lowe, Ramtha, they have been my great teachers. Paul Lowe is very present, and he doesn't say, what makes him different than, let's say, Bashar or Ramtha, he says he doesn't know anything. I guess Socrates, he's just present. There's nothing to know when you're present, when you're just here.
Exactly.
And being with Paul, like in that presence, there's just that sense of being. So there's nothing to do, nothing to say. It's because it's so full. This moment is so rich in essence and being that it kind of fills you up, you know? I did an interview with a guy named Jim Newman. Did you see my Jim Newman interview?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, well, look for that because he takes it to a whole other level. He says,
okay,
there's not even human beings here. There's just this. There's just existence. And don't separate into me or you or any identity or any. There's just isness. There's just is. It's just
right.
Is. And as soon as you identify or break it up, you disconnected from the moment. And
exactly.
So don't do that.
Yeah, that's a point of deep listening and surrender is what I call it. It's like each holy breath, each holy instant, here and now, just sinking into, okay, what is this moment for? Because truly, I don't really know. I'm just here to be a servant to love, you know?
Yes, you sound like Matt Kahn. He's also a great, Matt Kahn?
I'm familiar with him.
He is a beautiful being of love. I think I like him. I like Matt Kahn. And
I'll have to interview him.
You should interview him. He is a really kind person. So we're all here evolving to the highest potential possible by expanding our pituitary and pineal gland to these higher levels of vibration and feeling so we can pull in more of our creative potential. That's what I feel. And
absolutely.
And so we're
So what
here
about
to, yes, go ahead. Tell me.
So what about your feeling and take on, because you've been involved in the disclosure movement, and I do feel like I agree with you 100%. The disclosure comes from within us, you know, like discovering our self-awareness, discovering ourself, but like this whole like ET, you know, like at some point we're shifting collectively, you know, to more peace and harmony and raising and shifting our vibration, have access to more information. But like we should have already had free energy by now for the whole planet is what I feel. So like,
of course, but we're here with greedy corporations that are, you know, in a way an extension of our own greedy consciousness. You know, I feel guilty every time I take a plastic bag or do something to pollute the earth, and we're lazy. We're not fighting the corruption. We're not saying there is free energy. I'm sure. I mean, it's all free energy. I mean, the earth spinning on its axis. The waves in the ocean. The sun. There's so much free energy here, and we're like. It is like an addiction, you know, that like cartoon with like the shooting up oil like it's a drug into their arm. So it's like, you know, Ramtha would say everything in your reality is an extension of your consciousness. So if we don't have free energy, somehow we have to do more internal shifting because, you know, whoever's coming here in those UFOs are not filling up their gas tank to get here. You know?
You got that right. That's for sure.
So will they give it to us? Not as long as we are creating weapons. I mean, why is the military budget bigger than any other part of our economy? I mean, who we preparing ourselves to fight? I think you know, a whole leveling of what is really going on, and you know the corporate greed that has stopped us from evolving, but we're stopping it ourselves by some level of thinking that we've bought into as these identified cultural beings. We're perpetuating it every time we fill up our gas tank. Not that we have a choice, though, you know? So yeah, free energy is available, but it's just not accessible.
Well, you know, we should have water cars already running off of water. I mean, the technology is already here. It was buried away, you know. I remember back, you know, in the 80s, I saw the guy that developed the car, and then all of a sudden, you know, it disappears.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, because we're being controlled. We are being controlled.
But we're waking up now inside the control and seeing through the mind control, taking back our mind and our, through our intuitive wisdom, our hearts, and coming forward now. There's more and more people awake, you know, because of the work you've done. You know, from the interviews you've done, from Ramtha, from Bashar, from, you know, Conversations with God work, you know,
Right.
Marianne Williamson, you know, running for presidency, having the courage to step up and, you know, be your authentic self. And, you know, I support Marianne Williamson because her bottom line is love. And, you know, that's what I'm all about. It's like, how can we all come together and support one another so that we can radiate and sing our soul song, because we are, you know, you're living your dream, your passion, and, you know, I just applaud you. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, but thank you. I'll take that in for a moment. Okay, but you're living your dream too, aren't you? You're doing this.
Yes, this is my highest excitement. This is totally where I am alive. And I had a lady who was similar to Eckhart Tolle years ago, who has her own ashram, and she told me, she's like, "You're supposed to be a producer. This is what you do well, is bring people together and then interview them, and this is your mission." And so then when I left the Scan TV and producing the show, it kind of like got to a point where I required funding so that I could pay my my cameramen and my sound editors, and I had some doubt wobble in my own vibrational field, so I sort of like, let it. I had to take a rest and do some more diving into myself, and now I've just overcame my technology hiccups, and I'm just doing what Bashar says: do more with less, and then less equals more, and just take it one moment at a time. And the more I live in each present moment, and follow on that impulse, that nudge, my inner being is guiding me, the more I access that, then like the doors are opening, I just walk through them. And so now it's like grace.
Right. But I don't think it's a matter of more or less. I think that's, a sort of thing that gets in our way of being. I mean, Bashar, and I do love what he says, it's not what is happening, it's how you feel about what is happening. So I don't divide into more or less. I mean, of course, I can always have more, but I can always have less. So for me, it's just, how am I feeling this moment? Am I living my excitement this moment? And this moment I am, thanks to you. You're bringing that out. So, and then I'm going to be teaching remote viewing this weekend up at Alex Gray's place. You know Alex Gray, the artist?
Oh, yes, I love his work. Yeah, I saw that your event you're on the 19th, right? That's actually on my co-host, yes. Jay. He's my co-host, and he lives in New York, and that's actually his birthday. I was thinking to myself, God, I wish we could just go to that. That would be so awesome.
Yeah, why don't you come? Come.
Just have to book me.
But who's your co-host? Who is your co-host?
His name is Jason Figueroa, and he is...
Sounds familiar.
He does cloud busting with his breathing, has a breathing technique, and ET ships have literally shown up when he's done this. And
is this using the Wilhelm Reich technology of cloud busting? Wilhelm Reich developed a cloud buster technology where UFOs would show up.
Oh, wow. I'm not sure if that's where I know Winhoff breathing technique is what he's been trained in. And I'm looking forward to going out and doing some breathing and cloud busting with him so that some ET ships will show up for us. But and we're writing a book together, him and I, The Universe in Superposition and Love, and how that ties all in together. So
nice. So, but getting back to the ETs, I think we're at a really critical moment in consciousness, because people are calling me or writing me all the time saying they're getting downloads of ET messages. It's like a little piece of people's brains are opening up to this galactic relay, and some of them are getting messages or symbols that they have yet to understand. Like this one woman saw 3 triangles, 3 intersecting black triangles, was like a message from the ETs. I mean, we have to evolve our understanding of, in a way, cosmic symbology in order to get the higher levels of communication. I mean, right now we're very primitive in what we understand as symbolic language, and there's things knocking on our consciousness door that's saying there's new ways to think about reality. There's colors that talk to each other. Like everything is trying to communicate with us, but we put into a box. We haven't understand what's going on because we have these narrow frameworks for the way we interpret reality.
That's very, very true.
So, like, I talk about dolphins. I swam with dolphins, and I worked for this guy, John Lilly, who tried to teach dolphins how to speak English.
I'm familiar with John Lilly. You worked with him? Oh, my God.
Well, I worked with him briefly. I was helping him to kind of go through his archives, and I edited one of these films that he did about his Man and Dolphin, which was about a kind of history of this work. But the problem with that, with John Lilly, is that, they are more evolved than us. We speak this monosyllabic language, one syllable at a time, and they can produce at least 4 sounds at once through their blowhole, through their nostril, through their throat, through their mouth, through their teeth, and so they're speaking on 4 levels at once,
Wow.
and it's like they are the more sophisticated, intelligent creature than we are.
Right.
So when they've been taught how to speak English, they would count this woman. What was her name? She lived with there was a wet room. This woman, what's her name? Mary, lived with this dolphin, Peter. And she taught Peter how to count, but he would get so bored counting that actually he fell in love with this woman. And then that was Peter's dolphin fell in love with this human woman. And I think that was the end of their relationship.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. I know that the dolphins do echolocate, and they can, with their sonar, they see through you like a X-ray vision.
They not only see through you, they see everything with their sonar, so they can send an exact duplicate of what they're seeing. Like if I was sonaring you, I would send a dolphin the exact image of you, because it would be recreated through the sonar pattern. So it's not like I would have to describe you. I would just sonar you and send that sonar recall to another dolphin. That's how sophisticated they are. So I was going to say about that, and so when we taught them how to speak our language, they were bored because we didn't learn their language of these multidimensional ways of communicating. And the same thing is true with the ETs. We have to learn to speak their language. They're the more evolved species. We have to understand the reality on the level that they are cognizant of that. It's like when you talk to your dog, you're not barking at your dog, right?
Right.
You're trying to teach your dog a more sophisticated level of communication. So we have to realize that we are multidimensional in our conscious awareness and can start to project that multidimensional consciousness in order to communicate with greater complexity. This is what I think the value of art does. Art is a training of the multi-levels of communication that are possible. Because when you're painting a picture, you're not just painting the information. You're painting how it makes you feel, right?
Right.
It's like Picasso said, if I paint the wild horse, you may not see the horse, but you'll see the wildness. So it's like we have to realize that we are multidimensional within these creative outlets, and I think start to realize that we're actually communicating all the time with each other this way. I mean, you're communicating with me by what you're wearing, how you wear your hair, the expression on your face, your smile. It's all communicating on multiple dimensions. Actually, more communication comes in how you say something than what you're saying. You could say I love you, and it would sound like you hated somebody or something. So we have to realize that there's an upgrade in awareness that we need to pay more attention to, and this is a sort of encoding of our neurobiology that starts to make us receive the higher, more subtle messages that are being downloaded to our consciousness on an ET level. ETs are not out there. They're right here. They're knocking on our neurological door. They're trying to wake up our neural nets of consciousness, is what Joe Dispenza used to say. He didn't say about ETs, but he would say that at the Ramtha School. Dr. Joe started there.
Right.
As a teacher.
It makes a lot of sense.
And he would say, start to connect new neural nets of possibility to create the impossible. So, like your cat.
Yeah, I have my little Devon Rex cat, my little ET
Oh,
cat.
really? I have a cat too, but he's sleeping.
That's what he looks like.
Oh, I should show you I'm going to show you my cat, okay? Okay. Oh, here we go.
Oh, beautiful.
I just
What's
woke
his
him
name?
up.
What's his name?
This is little Gabriel. I think did we just digress?
I love cats because I think they're here to teach us to hone in on our telepathic skills, and they are like operating in a higher frequency all the time, and that we can access that too. And I feel like cats are kind of like a preliminary for communication with the ETs.
I think so. They definitely are something, right? Oh, he's getting bored. Okay.
Well,
Anyway, yes.
So I love how you explain that with the dolphins. That makes so much sense. That's really good. And I just want to.
We're here for evolution.
Right. Yeah, we are.
So you say you just want to what?
Well, I just want to, thank our viewers and the fans of Alan and Nourish Your Soul, and that this has been, another dream of mine come true to be able to interview you, Alan. And
but I feel we haven't gotten. We could go a little. Are we out of time?
Oh no, we can continue going. I would love to go longer.
I feel like there's another level we can get to because I think we're here to make known the unknown.
Yes, we are.
I mean, that's like my little logo.
Absolutely.
So how do we access something we don't know? How do we know what we don't know? I mean, I'm trying to work with that all the time.
Well, one thing that's worked for me is saying, from the Lord God of my being, I know what I need to know when I need to know it. Like, I sort of took the
but you'll never know. Right. I get that. You need to know, but I think we're endlessly curious, and I like to know what I want to know before I need to know it,
Well, you can, and we're accessing probable realities all the time. I get downloads and see possibilities, and then sometimes they unfold and I walk right into it, and then sometimes they don't. It's like I notice that the more in the moment and the more quiet and still I become, then I'm able to pick up on the subtleties and just follow that pulse of what feels good in my heart and act on that.
That's beautiful. So you feel like it always comes back to the heart, like feeling into the moment.
Yes. Yeah, I do.
That's the eternal part of us. And I'm not sure about Bashar and his people. I think they do have that sense, but they seemed almost mechanical in some ways too.
Yeah.
I think human beings are at an edge of, in a good way, of feeling and acting and being, and I think we just have to help make the planet more of a feeling reality.
That's so true. And the way to do that is,
and I think,
it's to unmask, unveil the illusions, the lies we've bought into, the programs, and see through it and return it back in on ourselves. The most empowering thing that I've done is I look from the inside out. And when I started to see the world from the inside out, I had the biggest breakthroughs. Like now it's like I can see stuff happening around me as if it's like a movie, and I'm like detached enough from it that I can feel and sense and be more interconnected to all life.
So what do you mean inside out? Do you mean that the world's a projection of your consciousness?
Yes. And
so if something happens out there, it's because of what you were thinking.
Right. And also vibrational. It's a vibrational match, something I was thinking and feeling that was active within me that now I'm seeing. But there's a little delay, though, in that when it happen.
Well,
but you
so by
you sense
raising
it.
our vibration, we bring in more awareness. Actually, I woke up this morning, my whole body was vibrate. I felt the vibration in my whole body. I mean, I think the earth is assisting in this frequency shift so we could know more about what we have yet to know. You know, the unknown, whatever that is here waiting for us to do, you know, to create free energy. I mean, yes, it was created, but to create it again.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we can solve our problems, but
Yes.
there's such, I mean, when you look out in the world, there's such very dense thought forms that need dismantling.
And I think we're doing that by you coming forward and the people you bring on your show, and by bringing awareness and people understanding that it's up to them and how they see. You know, their seeing is what can be. It's all, you know, all errors in thought are errors in perception. And when we can take responsibility for our seeing, you know, it's a choice. It comes down to, what am I committed to broadcasting the signal of? What am I committed to seeing? I'm committed to seeing love. So constantly when I find and see something that's dysfunctional or not working in my environment or out here on the news, you know, I have a choice in that moment that I can embrace it, love it, take the lesson in, and then do the work, inner work on myself, and say, okay, if it triggers something that I don't like about it that somebody's doing, then I can look at my beliefs and say, okay, where's this hit me? You know, because instantly I'll know by the way I feel. So it all goes back to my feeling.
How did you wake up to the fact that you were about love? Was that just something you always had, or was there a moment where you realized it?
Well, I had an awakening occur in me when I went to Egypt. I did have some regression done once, and I had there was a woman that was on the trip. We went to Egypt, and she we did an exchange. She wanted me to do the EPT that I work in. And I was experiencing a headache and not sure why, and so she regressed me, and my consciousness was in the room, watching my body talk, and I literally saw my body, my etheric double, out of my body, and I saw Jesus, and then these white beings in white robes, and they were working on me, and I was speaking, and what I said was that they were performing a surgery, that there was an implant that was placed in the back of my neck from ETs, that I was being monitored, and that I had awakened and raised my frequency to such a level that there was an interference with the device of the monitoring device, the implant, versus my own vibrational frequency. There was an interference, and so that was causing the headaches. And so that was being removed right then and there in that moment while I was cruising down the Nile. And just before she brought me out of it, I started to, when she was counting down to bring me back into my body, I started channeling Isis and talking about the Hall of Records and how it was going to be discovered, and in the Sphinx, in the Paul of the Sphinx. And then we were inclined, the three of us were like, well, we got to tell our team leader that, you know, that's orchestrating this journey, sacred journey, that we got to get in the Sphinx. So he rearranged our trip and was able to get government permission to get us into the Sphinx. We went into the Sphinx. And
you went into the Sphinx? You went into the back of the Sphinx?
Yes, yes. We went to go in down where the Paul was of the Sphinx, and we got permission to go in there. And then we also went into the King's Chamber, where I laid in the sarcophagus. And I do sound therapy also. I have quartz crystal singing bowls that I play.
What happened in the Sphinx? Did you discover the Hall of Records?
Well, it was nothing really happened. It was like I feel like maybe we were there to anchor and open up something on some etheric level, because what ended up as a consequence that happened of it was after I left, 4 months later, the Son of the Cross, a new discovery of a site in Egypt, was unburied and unearthed. and it was the Son of the Cross. And so I was interested. I was kind of like, well, I got intuitively that's what I was there to do, and that there more could have actually came about, but that the guy that was leading the trip, once we told him about the Hall of Records and the ability for us to unmask and disclose something, that there was some fear that surfaced within him, and so everything that could have unfolded didn't quite happen, but there was an opportunity for it. So I'm just really in touch with my higher self and always following that pulse, and like I was guided to connect with you. Like my soul was like, I have to connect with Alan. There's something that him and I are to do.
Sweet.
There's something that we're supposed to do together. I have no idea what that is, but I am totally down with it, and I love you. I really do.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. Okay, come to New York, and we'll see. Maybe it is to do some ET journeys, like at Mount Shasta. There's a whole portal of ETs there. It's a little creepy, I have to say, Mount Shasta. I prefer, have you been to Mount Rainier? That's a much more pleasant vibration. But there's also portals in all these places, and they're doorways to these other realms that you start to think differently about the nature of reality. And I think this is what we're here to bring in through these types of programs, to help people start to break out of the box that they put themselves in, as far as thinking that they're a person with a history and that they are limited, and we're infinite in these qualities of mind.
Exactly. We are infinite.
And so,
multidimensional.
And so,
infinite.
The best thing I think anyone can do is be a creator. Just sit down and start writing. Let it flow through you. Pick up a paintbrush. Just start painting. It's amazing what comes through when we give ourselves permission to create. And that's why we are here, is to create. We're not here for survival. That's already should be guaranteed. And with free energy, and things like artificial intelligence, which will make things easy. A lot of people are afraid of artificial intelligence, but they'll never have a soul. Machines will never have a soul. And if we handle it right, and I'm not saying we will, it will do the jobs that no one wants to do. I mean, who wants to be a doorman or or like a mindless job that forfeits our creative potential? We're here as creative beings, and we create technology, hopefully, to make our lives easier and more possible to create. I was in an Apple computer store the other day, and this guy must have been 85 or something, and he said he wanted a music writing software program on his computer so he could write music, because that's what he always wanted to do. So I think if we can keep our minds open, we will grow into the flowering of humanity, I call it, which will ignite the creative potential each one of us have, which will, increase the rate of invention and creativity and feeling and possibility as we all tap into our source, which is here to express. And so we're at the edge of a renaissance that is available for everyone. And what me and you can do is help facilitate that awakening.
Absolutely. I would love to do that with you. I'd love to do that.
Well, you're doing it in your way.
Yeah.
We'll do it. So let me know when you're going to come to New York. And
Okay, so in February you said that you were going to be not available from the 20th through the end of the month. Is that right?
I'm going to be at the LA Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles, which is a great forum. I'll be speaking with J.J. Hurtak. You know who he is? The Keys of Enoch.
Yeah.
J.J., I have to say, he's become a really good friend, and he is one of the few people that actually ascended his body. He actually changed his body into light. So
Wow.
everyone talks about ascension. Ramtha talks about ascension, but there's very few people who have done it. I think it's possible for all of us to turn our bodies into light, but just hanging out with someone who did that once, briefly, for 3 days, he says, kind of is a nice vibration to hang around with. And him and his wife have become good friends, and we travel around and do lectures together. And actually, my most popular guests on my show are JJ and Desiree Hertog, the authors of The Keys of Enoch, and I have a whole chronicle series I've done with them about the new realities that we are tapping into together. So
that's so beautiful. I look forward to checking those out. I'm going to be doing that right away.
So when are you going to come to New York?
Well, I guess I'll come book my ticket and come before the 20th then, so that you and I can connect and I can see you.
On February 9th, I am hosting this guy, Roland Comtois, who speaks to multidimensional people who have like passed over. He's a medium, but he's also speaking to other entities, but he's great. Why don't you come for that?
Okay.
February 9th.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds like a plan.
Around then would be maybe a good thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would love for you to connect me with that Dan for the regression.
Yes.
I could do that.
I will give you his number. I will email you. Yeah, and then that would be great if you wanted to do it on my show.
I would love that.
Okay. That would be kind of exciting. We'll do that with Dan. We'll maybe live stream it, okay?
Okay, that sounds good. And if you
what?
And if you want to have my co-host Jay Figueroa, Jason, with the cloud busting and the ETs that show up, the ships. I don't know if you want to interview him as well. You can.
Definitely. No, I definitely do. Definitely. Yes. Yes. So we'll do that. Is this go out live now, or you edit this?
No, I edit this, and right now I'm actually just collecting a bunch of content before we launch it. So.
Oh, you're not launched a series yet.
I haven't launched my series yet, but I'm collecting a bunch of interviews ahead of time so that I can just start putting them out. And I have to raise the funds. I'm thinking I want to use Kajabi, is a platform that allows you to get to post your content free, or if you can get members and you can do workshops, and like I could do a series. I'd love to do a series with you, but the Kajabi platform, it's like $1,200 for the year or something like that, but it gives you everything you need, and so I have to raise the money for that.
Isn't there Stellar like that? I think Stellar is free.
I'll check into that.
Stellar, Stellar.
Okay. All right, I'll check into that.
Also, when you show this, if you want to put in clips from that Bashar interview, just whatever,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, or maybe other interviews. You can. Did you ever see my Paul Selig interview?
Yes, yeah. Yes, I love that too. I want to interview him. Maybe you can help me make the connection so I can.
I will. He's in New York. He's in New York.
Do you have a studio in New York where I could interview him?
Yeah, I could actually get a studio in New York. Yeah, I can use Manhattan Cable Television Studio. Yes. Or we can go to his office and interview him there.
Let's do that.
It might be easier because he doesn't like to travel much.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Why don't we? So we'll do that. Definitely. How did you find me again?
Just YouTube, and I knew that you were involved with the Jay-Z Night with the school, and that's one of the other attraction factors. And then the interview that you did with Darryl Anka, it really helped me have some peace around the whole the trauma from my own personal ET experience, and I just
was that traumatic for you? Was that trauma?
Well, I had the one I shared on this with you with them in the car with me wasn't traumatic, but there's another one that I had where I woke up in my bed and they were different beings. They didn't look like gray ETs at all. They were like Hercules, and they were real tall with staffs, and I was frozen. Like I was trying to scream for my mother and I couldn't. Nothing was coming out of my mouth. I woke up prematurely when they were phasing me back in. And so I would love to be regressed, and find out what really was going on with that. Because
that would be fun. Let's do that.
That was a different race of beings. So, yeah.
Let's do that regression, whatever you want. Whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I think the more of us that come forward, the more of us that come forward sharing our ET encounters and experiences, the more that people can realize this is not a strange phenomena. It's normal. It's part of our DNA and our multidimensionality and our connection with our star brothers and sisters.
You're right. I don't know. Is it normal? I don't. Maybe it is. I think we've forgotten who we are as human beings, so maybe it is a normal thing. I mean, there's so much more capacity of our brains that, psychology has been great, but it's also done a disservice by making us afraid of our own thoughts. Like, if you have that thought, then you must be crazy. So
True.
People have been afraid to think and use their mind and their imagination.
True.
And that's been an atrocity in a sense.
Right.
It's been a limitation. And,
right.
I mean, it's also been great psychology. It's helped us understand ourselves, but only so much. So it's always a double-edged sword.
That's true. So we'll pick it up, and I'll come out and see you on the 9th then of February?
Around then, or be a little before that,
Okay.
Or after, or before, something like that, yes.
Okay, I'll
check
but
in. Stay in touch.
I will. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and thank you, viewers and fans of Alan and myself. We love you, and tune in to his Know Thyself consciousness talk, the Enoch material, and also the Bashar interview with Darryl. If you haven't already watched that, also his interview with Paul Lowe. I highly recommend that.
Well, I could tell people to go to my YouTube channel where all my interviews are, which is youtube.com/New Realities, and you could see about 1,600 videos I've done over the last 10 years. I have so much more I haven't even posted. But it's all about bringing in a new awareness that, I believed in. I believed that there was more to the human being, and I pursued that possibility and found other people who believe that too. So if enough people believe it, it's no longer a belief, it's a reality. And when it becomes a reality, it becomes something that gets encoded within the consciousness of all people, and that's our job here, me and you, to wake us all up, wake each other up, and wake the humanity up to who we really are. The new realities are waiting.
Exactly, living from the presence of the Lord God of our being a remarkable.
What does that mean to you, the Lord God? What does the Lord God of our being mean to you?
It means to embrace my oneness with all that is, all of creation, with the absolute, God, life force, love, and just to drop anything and everything that is not in service to love and my seeing. It all comes with me and how I see the world around me, and embracing more parts of my humanity. But you know what Ramtha
said about the word Lord God? Did you ever hear him talk about that? Because when you say the Lord God, the Lord is the soul and the God is the spirit, and Ramtha made a distinction between spirit and soul. So most people just use it interchangeably. But the soul is the recorder of the adventures in creation that is recorded as an emotional memory and feeling. So when you call on the Lord God of your being, you're moving together the soul and spirit into a unity of the being, of the love. So it's calling on all aspects of our eternal nature to manifest our declarations in the world. That's how I understand it. But
That is beautiful. Thank you for breaking that down like that. I really needed to hear that again, and I'm sure our viewers did too. That makes so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're complex beings, and we're, you know, also been fractured within that complexity. Bring ourselves back to wholeness to understand how we exist on all these levels.
Right, and we're healing those fragments. The more we embrace parts of ourselves, even the supposedly like there's no time. I see it like it's a spiral, and it's like our frequency, whatever we're vibrating at, is what we're seeing and experiencing.
Yeah, well, you're a great teacher. Thank you.
Oh my gosh! thank you for.
You have some great things to say.
Well, thanks for meeting me on that level of divinity. This is within you, within myself, for mirroring that.
Well, that's how we should meet everyone on that level of divinity.
That's right. That is so true.
You know what Paul Selig's guides say? He says, I see you through the eyes of the Christ.
Right, exactly.
You look at everyone from that perspective, and then you can own the human experience. You can, like, be at one with all people.
Exactly. I know who
It's not always easy.
It's true. I'm always reminding myself, I know who you are in truth. I know what you are in truth. I know how you serve in truth. You are here. You are here. You are here. You're free. You are free. You're free. And then I do it back to myself. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. I am free. I am free. I am here. I am here. I am here. And that one piece of exercise has helped me to hone in being present, just like, you know, like
but also you can do all those words, but you can also just be present.
True.
You can also just stop thinking about everything and just be present.
Just breathe. Be present. That's right.
Don't even breathe. Just be. Breathing will happen.
Right.
But just be, and you know, I do an exercise in some of the classes I teach. When someone is present, you can see it. And do you know how you see it?
How?
Light actually comes out of their eyes. When you're just with someone and they stop thinking, for that one moment, there's like a flash that is emitted, and it can be seen. It can be seen.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Sure, I knew we had something more to say.
Exactly. All right, well, namaste, my brother, and I will be seeing you. I'll come out to New York, and we'll coordinate it through Facebook Messenger.
Okay, let me know. Thank you. And, read my article on Hilma F. Klint. That's actually, if you come to New York, see her art show. It's all about channeled work at the Guggenheim Museum.
Okay. I'll check that out.
I'll send you that article, okay?
Yes, do send that to me. Beautiful.
Okay. Thank you, my friend, my new good friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Many blessings and lots of love.
Thanks. Thanks. You too.
We are awakening to a long forgotten memory. Dawn is breaking.